Good afternoon, financial professionals. My name is Brennan Derone. I am the Chief Distribution Officer here at E4 Insurance Services, and you are on the BREW, building relationships every week. Thanks for tuning in. For those of you joining the BREW for the first time, we like to start the BREWcast by celebrating today's national days. So we've got a couple different ones. And I always like to try to mix them together if I can. So it is National Nature Photography Day. It is National Smile Power Day and National Megalodon Day. So how do you put those all together? Well, you must have attended our BBT and got into the DeLorean time machine so you can go back in time. And for those that don't know what a megalodon is, it is a prehistoric shark, a 60-ton shark, and get an underwater camera, go take a picture of that. So there you go. They're all wrapped together. On today's BREW, we have a dear friend, Tiffany Markarian. She's director and founder of the Advantus Marketing. She's making her third appearance on the BREW, and she's going to discuss top 5 strategies for remote business growth and how being remote does not have to impair your ability to revitalize your business or growth strategy. Tiffany will focus on helping financial advisors and professionals think about their business and their growth from a different perspective. So with that, Tiffany, thank you again for being here, and I will hand it over to you.
It's my pleasure. Thank you so much. Thanks, Danielle, for putting this together, and Dan and team. Good to be with you all, and I'm just going to jump right in. There are 5 things that can be done remotely that some of them is going to make you take stock of the practice that you have built, and is it going to be sustainable moving forward. We're also going to be taking a look at how do we actually get velocity going when it comes to referrals, warm introductions, etc., in the most appropriate way. And we'll also be talking about redefining your value. If you have not figured it out right now, the pandemic has caused a whirlwind and an acquisition war for new households. Whether you're on the wealth management side, the insurance and protection side, the benefits side, everything post-pandemic, everybody wants their sense of structure back and to know that they're in the right place. It's putting a lot of pressure on financial professionals, and that in turn can cause a whirlwind within your business. So number one, what you can do while you're working remotely is right-size the business. Now, don't panic. I'm not saying go fire clients. I typically see this a lot in the wirehouse community. I see it a lot in the financial advisor community and RIA community. But now it's also showing up in the benefits and insurance. What do I mean by right-sizing? It's optimal capacity to run this business. Unfortunately, a lot of people had to pivot when it came to the pandemic, and now we're just trying to reinforce and keep value at a high level. But it is hiding some things that are going on in a lot of advisors' businesses. So when we say right sizing, I'm talking about 2 culprits. The time you and your staff are spending, and that is including conference calls with money managers, the home office, tracking down cases, transporting documents from paper to virtual so we can operate. It is taking care of every email that comes through with clients, chasing down clients, traveling to see clients now that the pandemic is lifting, and all the time your staff is spending. So that's 1 is the time, and then 2, it's those lower tier clients that may not be as profitable, but we have never adjusted the service model. I'll give you a very good example. I work with a lot of advisors in the wirehouse space, and we know that there are parameters to get staff. There is also a requirement to keep the service level specifically high. Well, what happens if your minimum is $1 million household? But when you segment the book and then you go household by household, the amount of hours you and your team are spending on average per year, some advisors are shocked when they realize it is costing me in time and billable hours $7,500 to service a C client, $20,000 to service an A client, all in. based on the revenue. And then when we look at that and we say, well, if my minimum is $1 million and it's costing me 20,000, I'm barely breaking even here. I've got to right size this business and perhaps go up market. If it's costing me more than $2,500 a year to service a C-level client, and I'm not saying they're bad at all, then we've either got to restructure the service model. Are we giving too much service too frequently to lower tier clients? And that is impacting us, elevating the experience for new clients. If we do not have good workflows documented, and we're spending too much time on manual tasks or chasing down time from the home office, that's going to affect our business as well. So right sizing the business gives you some options. One, do I need to go up market? And we'll talk about ways to go up market and get more warm referrals. But also, do I change the service model? Do I bring in a junior associate? The answer is not always just hire more staff, because you're just compounding the problem. If I've got lower tier accounts in custom portfolios, or I've got lower tier accounts that I just had insurance with them early on, and they've never quite given me the hope I had of more business, I've got to start looking. So that's right sizing the business. It comes down to resegmenting your book. I don't care if it's A, B, C, AAA, AA. Segment that book, capture the household revenue and the amount of hours being spent. Now you can run some good analysis. The second one that you can do remotely is a practice valuation. I'm not saying sell your business today. But what I'm saying is, if you take the time to actually have a proper practice valuation done, which should be done 7 to 10 years before you want to make a move in your business, it's going to tell you what are the operational hurdles, inefficiencies that are devaluing my business. If I fix those inefficiencies, that's actually going to increase my productivity and profitability. So that helps you today, sets you up in the future, whether that is to sell the business, whether that is to bring on equity partners in the business, or any other types of moves you want to make for your personal lifestyle. The practice valuation can be done for an insurance practice. There are firms like FP Transitions that have actually figured out a way to value an insurance practice. There are accountants and firms that can do it by EBITDA, your earnings before interest, depreciation, and amortization. And also for the financial advisors practice, the more you know today, the better you can make fixes in your business, and that can be done remotely. The third thing is optimizing your CRM. Stop for a minute. Client relationship management software. We all use it. We document notes, we document tasks, we keep our database clean. But the CRM, where it needs to move to now, is a CXM, a client experience management system. What do I mean by that? Before the pandemic, clients were determining an advisor's value, whether you're an insurance professional, a benefits, a financial advisor, an RIA, doesn't matter. The value was based on performance. It's about 60% of the whole value. Now, post-pandemic, clients have new sets of filters. They have been scrutinizing value. It's why clients are leaving advisors left and right. Not everyone was prepared for a remote environment. So what happens is now 80% of an advisor's experience is being defined by how elevated, personalized, and human that experience is. So with your CRM, it's no longer just about good data. It's, are you capturing things such as, did your clients pick up any new hobbies or interests during the pandemic? At your next review, ask them, now that we're coming out of this thing, how did you keep your sanity? Did you pick up any new hobbies or do unique things with their families? Maybe they started smoking barbecue. Maybe they are looking forward to rejoining organizations in the community. Maybe they've had a grandchild. Maybe they've taken on a new pet. Capturing all these things in your CRM gives you a lot of flexibility to now manage the experience. Meaning you could be sending them personal things based on their personal hobbies and interests. Brendan, you kicked this off with unique and fun days. Well, some of their unique and fun days might be nurse appreciation that just passed in May. There's doctor appreciation in March. We're heading into July. Clients that have gotten into barbecue, send them something on slow smoking barbecue. There are cancer survivor days. These are all things that just take a little card, maybe a little gift, or even just a good phone call. But these can be captured and you can manage the personal aspects. The fourth one is redefining your value. No more, full stop here, is your value about the P's. I mean, P as in the alphabet. Your products, your performance, your philosophies, your platforms, your payouts, your portfolio management, the people on your team, your professionalism. That is all merchandising. It does not translate well in virtual when you're trying to explain your value to a new client. What does translate, and this is what I say, you can work on redefining your value, speaking in outcomes. No longer is it about all the fancy, sophisticated words. It is about what this client wants to accomplish. If you are a financial advisor, what is it that you do? You work with clients to get them a sound financial future and the financial security they deserve. If you are a benefits specialist, it is about navigating all the changing health, wellness, and financial benefit needs created by COVID. If you're property and casualty, it's now protecting other personal and professional interests created by the pandemic. These are outcome-based that really resonate, and they cause clients and prospects to lean in. But if we start rattling off, well, we work with you on your wealth diversification and your tax harvesting and maximizing portfolio, think about it. It's just rambling and merchandising. But if we meet someone for the first time over virtual and we talk about, for over 30 years, we've worked with clients like you, gain the financial security and the sound financial future that you deserve. But before we get to all that, what are 3 things that you most want to accomplish in our conversation today? We flip it right back to the emotional needs. Clients need to know they're in the right place, that it's a personal and human experience. We've got to speak to them in their words. And number 5 is we can actually activate a niche market or a network virtually, as well as facilitate affluent referrals. Here's the problem with referrals and warm introductions. A lot of advisors are getting them. They've been getting them through the pandemic because there's money in motion. But a lot of clients are referring down. And what I mean by that is they might be referring someone that they think needs help, but aren't quite at the level of affluence that maybe is the ideal fit for your business. Now, all business may be good business, but let's go back to right sizing. What is the type of clientele that is appropriate to optimize us delivering a good experience on a sustainable basis? We may have to go up market. So it's no longer about who else do you think could benefit from my services, that maybe they've had some questions from the pandemic. I am here for them. Clients clam up. They do not want to be qualifying new appointments for you, but they will talk all day long about their networks, their circle of influence, and the things that are important to them. So let's say you want to work with veterinarians. You did some client analysis, you figured out, I've got 5 veterinarians. I didn't realize this. Maybe I should get a list. Maybe I should start doing mailings. No, how about we go to those 5 clients and we don't say, who are other veterinarians I should speak with? It's not going to get you anywhere. In fact, if you ask them, who do you know? Who do you think? Who should I meet? It kind of comes off as, I'm kind of floating around here. I don't really have any direction in my business. Can you help me out? Instead, let your clients know that you want to get a stronger foothold in serving veterinarians. So the answer is not, who should I speak with to be interested? It's telling them you want to become a stronger resource for that veterinary community or the small business community or working with young professionals, whatever that is. So John, my client, be my advisor for a moment. What would you suggest I do to become a stronger resource in the veterinary community? Is there an association or network I should join? Is there a blog or podcast that many of you follow? Who are the most influential members in the veterinary community? Here in Milwaukee, here in Madison, here in Boston. Who are the most influential members of the veterinary community that you think would be beneficial for me to know? What should I focus on more about the challenges veterinarians face? be my advisor for a moment. And if they start giving you names of influential members, say, what do you think is the most comfortable way to introduce myself to them? They might say, well, I play golf with them every third Thursday of the month, or we're part of a study group as part of the Veterinary Association of Wisconsin. Whatever that may be, clients will talk about their networks and let them go. And then they might say to you, you know who else you should speak with is so-and-so. Their son is taking that business. And now you can get to potentially small events. Well, my Scotch Club, I would love to have a meet and greet and meet some of these influential members. You and I could co-host a night together, my treat, but I'd love to pick the brains of other veterinarians and how I can be a stronger resource. All of that can be done virtually or remotely, and all 5 of these things can have a major impact in the business. So growing remotely, again, to what Brendan said, doesn't have to impair your ability to grow, but we've got to start looking at the optimum size. How do we operate more efficiently so we can keep delivering an elevated experience? If we get our value and our message right, it attracts more people. We go from convincing to curiosity. If you say to someone, as a property and casualty, I help clients protect the other personal interests created by COVID. Rather than saying, well, I'm a property and casualty firm, I do home and auto insurance. No, that's merchandising. I help clients protect other personal interests created by COVID. And they're like, well, that's interesting. What does that mean? What do you do? Creating curiosity. And if we can do that, then we start to get more momentum in our business. We understand the value of our business, what things can be improved, and we start operating better. So I hope those 5 things got you thinking. And Brendan, I'm welcome to address any questions, or Danielle, if anybody has some thoughts.
Well, thank you, Tiffany. For those that have questions, feel free to either unmute yourself and ask, or there is the chat box in the bottom and we can pull that up. While we're waiting to see if there's any questions, I'd like to remind you that today's BREW and our full library are recorded and shared on the BREW blog on our website, e4.insurance. Also, we have our traditional giveaway. Tiffany, could you pick a number between 1 and 22?
7.
All right. The winner is Tom Walsh, who I got to meet at our BBT. So hopefully he took that DeLearn back and got a snapshot of a megalodon. Let's see if we have any questions. I do not see any, but
Tiffany, I had a question. You talked a little bit about right sizing your business. When you find that you've got a gap between the services that you're providing and the revenue that you're generating, what are some of the things that you look at for good practice management in doing that?
Absolutely. One, a lot of these might be clients that came on very, very early in your career, right? And there's legacy there. I'm not saying get rid of those clients, especially if they're not taking up too much of your time and maybe there's an opportunity to serve the next generation. But there are a lot of clients that do take up a lot of time. Either the client is not adapted to technology, so your team, your staff is constantly chasing them down, dealing with paperwork issues. The client's not showing up for meetings. The client needs things run 16 different ways for you to be able to have a meeting and the revenue isn't there. So at that point, you have to make a decision. Who are the ones that are causing me to be distracted? There's another thing I look at, Dan, and this is planning for the hope. Hope is not a plan. So maybe you've got a client who is a physician and they've only got maybe 2,000 of revenue with you, but they're taking up 15, 20 hours of your time because you're trying to give them the whole first class experience, hoping that all the other money is going to come. You can't operate that way. Maybe as a financial advisor, you've got 400,000 of assets with them, but they've got 600,000 elsewhere with somebody else. So you're trying to turn on the charm with, let's talk about the tax planning and the inflation planning. And if I were to have your assets, these are the things that we would suggest you do. You keep spending that time and giving all the information up front, they've got no reason to move.
Tiffany,
you've got to be very sensitive to, am I giving too much time to a client with a hope is not coming? If they are a $400,000 client, treat them like a $400,000 client, give them a great experience, but articulate what could be if they were to bring some of the other assets into the household. Brendan, do you have a question?
Yeah, so twist on that, let's call it the loss leader client that, that's going to inherit, a large sum of money. You have all their money right now, but they're just not worth a lot today. What do you think? I mean, should an advisor keep them on the books, or
There's
they don't?
a danger. They'll say, oh yeah, absolutely, you're going to get my, absolutely. This just happened to me 3 weeks ago, 800,000 inheritance. Well, I like that, but I'm going to spread the wealth a little bit. There's someone in my BNI group and whatever. You can't take that word, but what you can articulate is when this happens, here are the critical things that we are going to work on. You can paint the picture of what will happen. We will be focusing on these 3 core areas. My team is ready for when this happens. But if we start giving too much away and it doesn't come, that is a problem. So the options with right sizing is not an automatic, tell them to go somewhere else. We could bring in a junior professional. We may be able to have them go to another advisor within the network that you work within, or someone within the local community. Or you may just decide this is no longer the right fit. And there's a graceful way to say that. Maybe this client is less than 2,000 of revenue. You're looking for clients that are generating 10 to 20 of revenue annually, right? You could say to them, as you know, my practice has grown, things are very stable for you, but because, and you can put it on your company, my company, because of my growth, has asked me now to focus on working with households at the $10,000 level, which is a $1 million to $2 million household. So I want to make sure you are well taken care of, but what I don't want to do is have an inappropriate model layered onto your level of assets, which would cost you too much money. So I have personally chosen an associate in my office that has a unique specialty in working with clients at your stage of life. I'm going to personally facilitate that introduction. I'll stay involved from a strategy, but given my new role, it'll be inappropriate to level these level expenses onto your portfolio. So there are graceful ways to be able to move someone forward so that you can now grow. I'm not saying lower tier clients are bad, don't deserve anything, but look, 10, 20 years, your skills grow, your practice grows, your staff grows. This is normal, customary, and there are plenty of advisors that would be able to give a far more elevated experience than perhaps you can right now. And make no doubt, there are junior advisors that have uncovered 300,000 of other assets or opportunities for insurance that you never touched.
Makes perfect sense.
Well, Tiffany, I want to thank you for coming on to the BREW. And I really, one of the P's that you left out was passion. And you certainly have passion. And I love the way you were able to tick off all of those different P's. And you've reminded me again that really having a passion for presenting your concepts and ideas and having them be well-versed is extremely important. You do a great job of that.
Well, thank you for that. There's one other P I didn't say. Advisors will say, oh no, we're doing great. We have a promotion problem. We just need to promote. What should we do on social media? What can we start posting? You don't have a promotion problem. You have a positioning problem. So we have to position our value in outcomes, position ourselves in network, and position our practice for optimum capacity.
Very good.
Thank you, everyone. What a pleasure. What a joy.
I love it.
I love you guys.
Thank you, Tiffany. Well, tune in next Wednesday as we have NAIFA representative Mark Aker discussing NAIFA's new Apex event in August. Mark will highlight some keynote speakers and share why this is an event advisors do not want to miss. Thank you for all being here. We will see you next week on the BREW.